Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. I am honored to be joined by Chad Vasquez from Omaha Silver. And Chad is a broker, a precious metals broker out of Omaha, Nebraska. And he has some insights and some things that I think the community will find quite valuable. And so, Chad, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you, Sal, for inviting me.
How are you holding out through the COVID-19 and everything personally? You doing okay?
I'm okay. 3 months of cash on hand, food, so I'm doing good. I
Always
can't.
good to be prepared. Right, exactly. Well, essentially, the interview is we're gonna be doing with Chad is essentially in two parts. We're gonna be talking about how Chad got to become a broker and some of his experience in the precious metals industry. And then the second part, we're going to talk about recent current events, which are changing on a day-by-day basis. There's a lot of different things that are going on that I think a lot in the community will find quite useful to be able to digest some of this information, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there about some of the premiums and some of the supply and the like that is associated with it. So we'll start, Chad, with how did you get involved in precious metals?
Well, first, I was a stacker like most of your viewers and listeners. I just didn't get how I couldn't buy at spot price in the beginning, because that was the major issue. I wanted to buy silver at the lowest possible price. And then when I found out that you can't buy it at the lowest possible price, there's levels to it, I started to understand. And then after that, I made it my mission to get people the cheapest silver and gold, platinum, palladium prices available. So I ended up trying out retail about 6 years ago, and then I noticed that there was no money in it. So if I was undercutting the online dealers, all my profit was being eaten up in the overhead, meaning the business rent, lights, etc., etc. So I decided just to kill that and then just dedicate myself to resellers and private individuals who wanted those cheap prices that they can't get from the online retailers. So basically, that's how I got into it. So after I closed down the office, I moved everything to my home. So I have just one overhead, which is the rent payment, and that's $675. So you can see where it's very profitable for me to work from home as a broker. So as a broker, I broker between only authorized purchases of the United States Mint. I never deal with no one else. And a client will call me and says, hey, I need this. Well, I'll search everyone's inventory to look for that product and tell them this is what the going rate is. They either can accept it or they won't. But 90% of the time, a lot of the coin shops want it cheaper than what the authorized purchasers from the mint can offer it to them because of their overhead. So they make out better if someone walks into the store and sells it to them, and then therefore they can buy that product behind spot. So therefore, they're covered in case any market volatility that happens, and it happens quite, frequently, as we know,
Sure.
throughout the past 2 or 3 years, and it has happened. Even the APs have been shutting down. Well, 2 years ago, they started shutting down their trading portals because the market was just volatile. So, before you could trade on the weekend sometimes, now you can't trade on a Saturday. So when the market closes on Friday, you can't trade until Sunday, 6 p.m. East Coast time or 5 p.m. Central, because I'm in Nebraska. And it's just they can't hedge the bets. And that's the problem, because when overseas opens, trading is all over the place. And then when New York opens, those prices don't reflect each other, and it goes the same with the London fix. The London fix might come out at one price, but when New York opens, it's lower. So, the variables in this, it's a hard business, but if you're dedicated to it and you know what you're doing, you can make money in it, and at the same time deliver low prices to customers or private clients.
And I'm very familiar, with the Asian markets because I do live streams centered around the Asian markets opening up. I call it my Sunday night market watch, and we watch. And in the last few weeks, it's been pretty crazy watching those markets open, and a lot of that is the paper trading. I posted a video recently where we have the USDebtClock.org website, and you can see the paper to gold and the paper to silver ratio. And we're seeing that separation between the paper price and the physical price, and that's something we've been witnessing and become much more frequent nowadays, especially with spot price. Some bullion dealers are now using the futures spot price to gauge their precious metal sales from instead of the COMEX price.
Correct, and this has happened to me in the past 2 weeks. That is absolutely true. So Kitco cannot keep up what's happening right now in the markets. No one is using Kitco to price any metals. Any pricing is done from the distributors only. I've had people call me and says, "Oh, I want it at the Kitco price." Well, the Kitco price doesn't reflect the real price what the distributors are using, because the distributor's price is more than Kitco's price. And we all know sometimes Kitco, we could wake up one day and Kitco is showing platinum at $10 an ounce. So we know how reliable Kitco is sometimes.
Yeah, we've seen that. I've seen that happen live on my streams. And by the way, people forget too, Kitco is a bullion dealer.
Correct.
They're a bullion dealer too. Yeah.
So, and also right now we're living in some unusual times. We have a virus that no one saw coming or supposedly didn't see coming, and you throw that in there, and what do you have? You have exactly what you have now. You have a burning house with no water, to put out the fire. So we're going to have a lot more pain going into the future than, we realize. All of America is shut down. So for me as a broker, I have to look at it as, how can I continue making money in this type of climate? So I weigh my odds. If I know that America is already shut down and everyone was buying metals at $11 and then a couple of bucks over spot at that price, the longer that the population stays out of work, they're going to be forced to sell silver at these prices. And then we're going to have an influx of silver bullion like you've never seen, because no one's working. They can't get unemployment. Even though the report came out that it was 3.3 million, well, that was in the 80s. Our population is bigger now than it has ever been before. We have more people buying silver and gold now than we did when 2011 and 2012.
Right.
And that's thanks to social media, YouTube. So the population is bigger, of investors or stackers, whatever you want to call it. So the silver and gold went faster. It went in 3-4 days. So to your viewers, it seemed like a long time, but for me, being a purchaser, buying from the distributors, it was already gone. You couldn't get it. Everyone already had cleaned out the distributors.
Yeah.
The only ones who had it was the retail end, and then they had to shut down and says, we don't have it. You have to wait. So it was already gone through the distribution circle. It was already gone. The metal didn't even exist.
Man, wow.
It was already gone because the frenzy already started to happen in the beginning of March. So what happened in the beginning of March? Well, you had an explosion with Anglo American for the platinum plant. Well, that one incident already had started a cascade of events that no one even knows about in the retail section. I mean, your retail, people who buy retail. Everyone was calling up PAMP, Valcambi, anywhere they could get platinum, and just bought it out with no delivery dates. We want this. Right. We don't care what delivery date is. There was unknown delivery dates. And then at that same time, PAMP at the same time says, we don't have anything. We're oversold. We're shutting it down. They couldn't take the orders. So platinum, palladium, Gold, even gold, the same first week in March. Same thing with gold. They were so backlogged because of the price fluctuation, what was happening in the stock market, people were panicking. They started selling off the stocks, the margin calls came in, and it even got worse. And I feel bad because people were waiting for a dip like this to happen in the stock market, but the problem is you couldn't get the silver at those prices or even close to those prices. And, I feel bad, but at the same time, you buy metal at any price, especially now, because everything is so uncertain. There's so much uncertainty going on right now with the distributors. If one of the distributor's employees that's working in the warehouse gets sick, then guess what? That whole distributor is shutting down.
Yeah.
And there's only a handful in America, but people don't realize this. So if those distributors shut down, and they're the ones that we rely on to buy the metal back from the secondary market, then we're in real trouble. So that means the mom and pops that's coming up to the coin shops trying to sell their silver, and then the coin shops in turn are trying to sell it to the distributor, but the distributor shut down. Well, where are you going to sell the metal?
Yeah, it's a very delicate market right now. And we already have situations like, the Swiss, markets and that are shut down at least temporarily. We've got the Royal Canadian Mint shut down production for 2 weeks.
Correct.
And there's a lot of that already happening from this to try to preempt what you're talking about occurring, at least from the production side.
Correct. So what I did about a year or two ago, I opened up accounts with two of the major mints here, one major mint and another mint that's been around since 2016, because I kind of foresaw that I can't rely on a distributor to provide me silver. And I'm glad I did do that, because when this whole panic ensued, I was able to secure the silver, even though it was a 4-week to 5-week delivery time frame, but I was able to secure the silver. And I'm glad I made that bet, because everyone is relying on the distributor. I skipped the distributor and went straight to the mint to have it made for me.
Yeah.
And it saved me. It saved me just relying on one party. I don't do that. I rely on several sources. So when I went to the mint, they had it. They says, you just have to wait. We're working at full capacity day and night, but you'll get it. And then, the clients and everyone was happy.
It sounds like Scottsdale Mint. They're one of those mints that they actually produce their own, so they don't really have a middleman.
Correct, and I deal with Scottsdale exclusively too. And then the other mint, which is Mason Mint, they were to the level where they were like, Chad, don't pay us until we send you a tracking. So that's how bad it is.
Right. Yeah.
So they said, don't pay us until we get you a tracking, because they were already backlogged. When I called them, it was 4 weeks already. And then they stopped answering the phones. So I already knew at that point they were backlogged beyond what they can handle right now.
Man. So essentially, through what you've told me so far, which is great information, but so people really understand right to the point of it, what's going on, the reason for these high premiums is because of a lack of availability. So people are you're paying higher prices as a broker, and you're having to pass that silver and gold along to retailers at pretty much, probably, I would assume, a pretty slim margin.
Correct.
For you to make money.
So you look at me as jam bullion or provident. So how it happens and how it works out is the miners make the metal. Then from the miners, it's stepped on one time already. They sell it at the price that they're willing to sell it for when the price is fixed. Then after that, you either have the mint or the refiner. Sometimes they could be one and the same. The price is stepped on a second time. Then after that, it goes to all the authorized purchasers, the distributors. It's stepped on again. And then by the time I get it, Jam Bullion or anyone else gets it, it's stepped on 4 times.
Right.
So the customer gets it at the 5th. So it changes that many hands before the customer gets it. So the customer is 5th in line.
Yes.
Now, if you skip it and go straight to the mint, then the customer could be 4th in line with a cheaper price. But it's fragile because it's everyone's making pennies. It's all in pennies.
It's a slim margin. By the time it gets to the fourth time, the price has kind of gone up, and to cover overhead and everything from most people's operations.
Correct.
And you're running under a shoestring budget because you're
Correct.
operating out of your home as a broker. Yeah.
Correct. And it's profitable to just have a home business and I make money.
Right.
The other thing that, people need to understand is that these businesses have to pay their employees, and everyone knows this. Yes, you have to pay more money to buy the silvers because they're having a hard time trying to source the silver. And Keith Neumeyer said it best. He says, we had the best quarter. We're not going to sell this silver. Not until the prices get up to $17.50 an ounce, give or take. And
Sure.
he said this in the interview with Kitco. So, if you have an executive from First Majestic telling you that, then there's your answer.
Yep.
They can hold out and wait until they can't wait no more.
Right.
So, it's eye-opening. If they're running green, then why sell it at these prices?
Exactly.
So when I sold the silver 2 weeks ago, everyone who bought the silver then, they're in the green now. They says, you know what? I don't care. I'll wait because I know it's going to go up. And it is. But the problem we have now is that everyone bought all this silver and it's going to come back into the market. It's just going to flood it. And there's going to be no buyers. The longer that America is unemployed, you're going to see an influx, huge amount of silver coming right back in. And then at the same time, we already have new silver being made and produced to fulfill the existing orders that we already have out there.
So that could bring silver prices down in theory, right?
In theory, but the metal that's already been bought, the distributors don't own. So that metal, as soon as it hits the distributors, it has to go right back out. So as soon as I get it, it has to go right back out. There's no inventory yet. So we probably won't see inventory for the distributors maybe 4-6 months before they'll be able to have their own supply, steady supply again, until
Right.
they fulfill all these orders. I got word that PAMP says maybe they'll be back up in a week, 6 days. Well, PAMP was already, if I, explained earlier, if PAMP was already backlogged in the beginning of March, well, don't expect to see any new, extra inventory from PAMP for another month, maybe 2 months before everything gets back to normal, because all that metal is already sold from a month ago or
Okay.
2-3 weeks ago.
Right.
So it's going to be rough. Same thing with Valcambi. So when I go with PAMP and I need, say, silver bars are no longer held in New York anymore. They're made to order. So if I wanted a 1 ounce Fortuna bar, silver, I have to place an order for that. And the lead time on any orders of silver that's not currently held in New York is 4 weeks alone.
Man,
Just
wow.
4 weeks alone.
Right.
So now with all this madness, the delays, there's unknown delays. Every distributor is telling me, tell them unknown. We do not know, because if one of the workers happens to get infected, then we're done. We're shutting down.
And this is unprecedented times for sure. There's no question. So let's say, Chad, as of the recording of this video, there's been a $2.2 trillion relief package signed by President Trump that will supposedly inject cash not only for small and large businesses, but also the public health sector and also, various aspects of fighting this virus. But, people are going to have checks in their hands. Unemployment is going to be extended. And the hope is that we can just restart this engine after the virus is subsided, and basically start off from where we left off. So how do you see that playing out in the silver markets and the precious metal markets in general?
That's not going to do anything, because $1,200, that average American that's a taxpayer is going to already use it towards food or rent.
Right. Yep.
That money is already spent. They already spent the money now, because I hear people talking about it already. They says, "Oh, I've already spent it. I already got a plan to pay this bill and that bill." So it didn't do anything. It's probably buying the average taxpayer 1 month, if that. And what I see now is that people didn't save. they didn't plan, you know, to have money on reserve for 3 months, 6 months, or food. When it hit, everyone was just caught blindsided. They ran to the stores, wiped out everything, and then, when they noticed that they didn't need all of this and they needed more money than they needed toilet paper, I mean, it's ridiculous. I make a joke with some of my friends. I says, "Hey, I get the weekly circular delivered by the postman."
Right.
I says, I tell them, and everyone starts laughing, to make light of the situation. But as long as you get the weekly circular, you're okay, know. And then now they're trying to sell back the toilet paper, the disinfectant back to the stores, and they're not buying it. They says, "No, it's already paid for. We already got new inventory coming in, and we don't know if the stuff is contaminated." And people right now are scrounging for money.
And that's kind of where I was leading to with the question, is because if we get back to some sense of normalcy and the economy starts grinding back up again, all this silver and gold that's on demand right now, people are wanting. I wonder that's going to do to the precious metal markets at that time, because, if the economy is doing good again and everybody's running, then they're not going to be buying. They may even try to cancel orders, or whatever they have out or what.
And then I already had planned for that. When I took orders and placed orders with the mints, I had already planned that people might want to get out of this position that they placed with me. And I told them, I says, if you can sell the metal on your own, then sell it. But if I can sell it for you and find someone else to buy it for you, then there's no loss. But as long as you guys come to a mutual agreement and then, contact me, then I'll transfer ownership of that metal to that person if they need to get out of that position. Because people were coming to me 200, 300, 500, 1,000 ounces. I mean, the sky was the limit on what they wanted.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, as I'm buying the metal at one price, the price went up again the next day on minting the product. So the price had to keep on going. I couldn't keep up with it. And then I just had to shut down last week and not accept any more silver orders, because now everyone has silver, and the people, such as your viewers and listeners, command the price now. So dealers are calling me and says, "Oh, I need silver at 160, 165 right now." Well, no, it ain't going to happen. I warned you 2-3 weeks ago to buy it at that price when it was cheaper than this now. Now it's 178 to buy wholesale, 180. And then the people who have silver are not going to sell it no cheaper than the stated price I just quoted. So they're at 180, 190, 200, 210. So, they have the power now, the people who own the silver, so they can command the price.
Yep, I'm starting to see that even some of these bullion dealer websites are starting to pay a little bit more for them now. Whereas that wasn't happening at the very beginning in some cases. We're seeing this big wide gap between their buyback price and their sell price, and that's starting to narrow, which is it's pretty interesting, amazing to see.
So now my focus right now is not on silver. It's on fractional gold and platinum products only. Because the three major suppliers of fractional gold and platinum are where? In Switzerland.
Yep.
Valcambi and Agor. And the only American company we have is Sunshine Mint. Good luck trying to get 1 gram bars from Sunshine Mint right now. It's not going to happen.
Right.
The United States Mint right now is allocating whatever gold they have, and orders have been stopped. When I called, I can't even get it. They said they're going to allocate right now. They had to shut it down. So right now my focus is on 1 grams, 5 grams, 10 grams in gold and platinum, because that's where the demand is starting to creep up. Those products are not made. I mean, you can't currently get those products anymore because those are the three manufacturers who make those products. Even in silver, Valcambi bars.
Right.
So price has already skyrocketed. So that's my focus right now. Even 1 gram Pamp Gold bars, I won't sell for no less than $70.
Man, wow.
5 gram.
It's a tight market for sure.
5 gram platinum bars, $200 easy for one. Man. So
yeah,
it's bad. It's bad, and people underestimate how bad it is. And sometimes they call me a doom and gloomer, but I have to keep up. I have to update people on what's going on because it's my business. I only focus on this one business. I'm not a coin shop guy. I'm not depending on someone walking through the door. I don't have those problems.
Exactly.
If I make $5 on a 100-ounce bar, I'm happy because I have no overhead.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's all profit.
Sure.
Otherwise, other people can't get away with that. So that's what makes me so unique. And then, all these luxury products, these high-end retail silver and gold products. Well, who would figure that people would put all their eggs in one basket for have China make the plastic and the paper packaging? Who would know? Who would figure? And it happened. America, we had all our eggs in one basket into China to manufacture everything for us. And look what happens.
Exactly. I think there's going to be, when we get out of this, I think we're going to reevaluate our relationship with China and even other countries and try to diversify. And I think there's several lessons that can be learned from all this, for sure. And that's a great point, definitely. Well, Chad, this has been very eye-opening, especially hearing this from a broker perspective, and in your unique position where you literally have lowered your overhead to a rent essentially, but especially how tight the margins are. I guess I'll close with your insights on where we go from here, and or just any words you want to say to the viewers. Of advice or that you would have with your unique position and knowledge of the markets?
I think right now, if the viewers and listeners are going to get that stimulus check, make sure you pay your rent, buy food with it.
I agree.
Because right now, my estimate was 4 months, maybe, until, inventory starts coming back in, but it could be longer. And it's going to be longer. It's going to be a rough summer because the longer every day that passes by that Americans are not working, it's going to decimate the silver and gold markets. So the premiums could come down, but what I fear is going to happen is that people are going to be desperate for cash and they're going to be forced to sell at these prices. So that's exactly what's going to happen, is that people are going to be forced to sell at these prices, even though 2-3 weeks ago they bought at $18, $19, $20. Every day that goes by, they're going to end up selling at these prices. And then that's where you're going to see the influx of metal coming, is from the public, because they need to eat, pay their rent, their mortgage, their car loans, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, very good, and I think that's wise advice. I would encourage people to, yes, there's a saying, pay yourself first, but I think the saying should be pay your bills first, and take care of your family and your situation, and if you have precious metals, be thankful that you do have some. And if you have the opportunity to get more at a decent price, do so. But there's times not to buy too. But I think this was eye-opening because, I've interviewed bullion dealers before, and I've never interviewed a miner or anything like that, but I've seen interviews with like Keith Neumeyer and the like, and that's a whole different area. But brokers are and authorized purchasers, those are different levels, and you guys see an aspect. Have a view into the precious metals market, probably that even many bullion dealers don't have knowledge of. So this has been very eye-opening.
And I think, what it is more is because since I focus on this, I ask more questions. I need to know exactly what's going on.
Right, yep.
I need to see what the trends are, like with all these novelty coins from the Perth Mint that come out and all these novelty coins, I got to know what to sell and what not to sell, or what to leave alone. Like the Marvel coins that come out from the Perth Mint. Well, I won't recommend that to none of my retailers or any clients that deal with me.
Exactly, right.
I have to be, I have to keep an eye on the trends. And usually I'm always correct when I see certain items come into the marketplace that are new. And I'll tell people, stay away from that. You'll never recover or recoup the money that you put into it. Only buy it if you're a collector of that one piece.
Exactly. Right. Yep.
Or if there's profit to be made from it, then I could see you buying it. But I would never recommend those type of products. And those products are showing up more and more. And just for one round bullion coin it's just a bullion coin. There's nothing to it. So if people, want to contact me, you could find me on Facebook at Omaha Metals, or you can contact me by email at omahasilverco@gmail.com. And then as long as you're a reseller, it's not an issue. If you're a private client, then we'll discuss the tiers of what's involved into purchasing at those prices that you see JM Bullion getting, and we'll go from there.
Very good. Chad Vasquez, thank you so much. It's been a great eye-opening. I appreciate your time for this interview, and I want to extend a multitude of gratitude to you, Chad, and also a multitude of gratitude to all my viewers, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.